The things I do for this channel. Lords of the Fallen 2014 was one of the first Soulslikes to hit the market back when Dark Souls was the only inspiration that developers could draw from. And holy fuck, we have come a long way since then. The game features an interconnected world as you explore a large monastery and its surrounding locations, including a hellish dimension, creepy catacombs, and more. Your goal is to defeat the Rogar Lords that are attacking the monastery, and let me tell you, these truly are some of the bosses of all time. None of them have particularly engaging movesets, most of them are overly tanky, and when you reach the endgame, the windows for punishing attacks are non-existent. I don't know how they managed to make the combat feel sluggishly slow, yet floaty as fuck at the same time. It is a talent, not a good one. I went in really wanting to like this game. I knew its reputation. I also know this game has its die-hard defenders as well, which I can respect. But after my first and only playthrough of the game, I can confirm it is not for me. And the people on Reddit saying it's better than Dark Souls must have COVID because they have no sense of taste. I'm sorry, I say it how it is. There is a reason why this franchise got completely rebooted into a much better game in 2023, and I have covered that game before on the channel as well. Now I get to rank the bosses. Yay! There is one DLC boss, the Keeper, that I didn't face, because this game does not deserve more of my money. I don't want to pay extra for a subpar fight that I'd inevitably bitch about later in the video anyway. So let's jump in with the fights I did do with... At number 10, we have Commander, the second boss of the game, fought in the Square of Heroes. One feature of Lords of the Fallen 2014 is that bosses have clear phase transitions on their health bars. Get them past those little notches and they'll break out stronger moves. Unlike the Commander, who, living up to his name, does more commanding than fighting. He constantly shields himself with impenetrable barriers that will only dissipate if you kill the minions he summons to defend him. I've always had a pet peeve for boss fights where the focus is more on enemies than the boss itself. When he's not invulnerable, he instead defends himself with a large shield that will stop almost all of your attacks. He might shield slam, causing meteors to fall from the sky, and that's also your only opportunity to deal damage to him when he has his back turned. That's it, that's the fight. His shield makes it impossible to damage him most of the time. He stays invulnerable for half the fight while you fight mooks, and then he had the audacity to kill me after the fight concluded. I killed him mid-meteor attack, got the winning cutscene, and the moment I came out, this happened. Can you believe this? What a first impression. At number 9, we have Champion, a gladiator within the catacombs whom you have to defeat to access the Citadel. On paper, this should be a great fight. The boss has a healthy set of melee attacks, he has a charge that you can dodge, he has a ground attack that you have to time your dodges to avoid, and he has a berserk mechanic, where the more damage you do to him, the angrier he gets. When he goes full sicko mode, he bursts into flames, and this is really cool. I like this concept, and managing that rage is a fun idea. In execution though, this fight sucks. Most of his melee combos are fast, and you don't have a lot of time to get hits in. You might think you can punish his charge attack, as dodging it will make him continue running towards the nearest wall, but no, he's ready to go the moment he hits the wall, and you get no time to punish him. You can use a great shield to halt his charge, but that gets you one attack per punish window, which is not enough for this health pool. I tried using the prayer spell, which leaves a clone of you that enemies and bosses are drawn to attacking, so I could then get behind the boss and do more than one hit of damage, only to discover that the boss has a grab attack, and if it hits the clone, it will count as hitting you, no matter where you are in the arena. So I was constantly getting yanked through time and space into grabs I had no business being grabbed by. This shit is awful. You cannot defend this. When you only have access to 4 spells on any new game playthrough, I expect them all to not only work correctly, but not be so exploitable by the bosses, especially when this specific spell is the one you get across all 3 magic skill trees. I had to leave, grind, and come back to beat this boss, and I was miserable the whole time, because the catacombs sucked for grinding and exploring. And you know what? The run back is even more annoying because there's an enemy you can't avoid in this tiny tunnel, and a spider that gets in the way of the boss fog. I'm getting angry all over again. We need to move on. At number 8, we have Beast, fought after the mid-game in the Square of Heroes. This is a massive gargantuan creature who uses a series of massive stomps to cause shockwaves along the battlefield while swinging a large poisonous plank. His attacks hit hard, as you'd expect, and he has the ability to leave poison pools across the battlefield as he pleases, making him very threatening if you don't have the right build. For me though, I had a trump card. My character's strongest magic spell, Quake, which normally does minimal damage on most bosses, for some reason melted through the beast's health bar like a hot knife through butter. Just 3 Quake attacks were enough to defeat the beast, with me needing to avoid his moveset until my magic could recover enough to pull them off. I don't even think I figured out what the yellow bar beneath his health was, and honestly, I don't really care. I just know that that fight wasn't terribly fun, and if I didn't have my Quake skill upgraded, I would have had a miserable time chipping away at that boss's ankles. At number 7, we have Worshipper, fought in the Graveyard. This is a unique encounter that feels more like a gimmick fight than a standard battle. Throughout the arena are a series of mini gazebos that you can stand beneath to avoid some of the boss's attacks. Your aim is to make the boss hit one of these gazebos, causing it to shatter and stagger the boss. This gives you ample time to get some hits in and just go to town on his health bar. But every once in a while, the boss casts an arena-wide magic attack that can only be dodged by hiding in another gazebo. So you have to balance destroying these safe spaces to stagger the boss, while leaving some of the gazebos standing so you can dodge his massive magic attacks. He can summon minions to chase you down at points, which is not very fun, but you can at least attack them before they form to stop them spawning. Of all the bosses in the lower half of the list, Worshipper is the least offensive, shall we say. I actually like the gimmick, especially with it being explained by an audio log you find just before you enter. The only thing I don't like, and it's a big problem, is that the boss has a very quick stun attack that can leave you dazed, and if you're not able to fast roll, you can't safely avoid it. Being dazed in a Soulslike just isn't a fun experience. Not as bad to deal with as the ghost enemies in later levels of this game, but notable enough to knock him down to this point on the ranking. At number 6, we have Judge, the final boss of the game, the biggest damage sponge I've ever seen in my life, and a little bitch whose AoEs make me want to AoYeet him off a cliff. Judge does not give you punish windows if you're wielding a heavy weapon. He finishes a combo and you think, oh, let's do a light attack, that'll be quick, and then he's already gearing up for the next attack before your attack's even landed. And God forbid he reheats his AoE nachos, because those 2 ground slam AoEs he can do are the bane of my existence. The fact that you can't shield through them means the only way to avoid the damage is to just not be near the boss, meaning you can't punish the boss. And the second larger AoE he sometimes does at the end of his combos comes out so fast I never had the opportunity to properly react and dodge it. And that AoE can appear at the end of any of his combos, making everything completely unsafe. Then you add this boss being able to spawn in minions that he can use to regain his HP, and you have a fight that drove me up the wall. I had to look up some strategies and eventually figured out that avoiding his 3 annoyingly accurate laser attacks and waiting for him to jump down and suck up his minions is your opening. Because you can use the spell that gives you infinite stamina and spam heavy attacks for over 1000 damage per cycle. Then I clipped him with various Quake attacks mid-fight, constantly taking chip damage until he went down. The game gives you a weapon called My Axe, which is clearly Harkin's canonical weapon, and then it sucks to actually use in the boss fight because its attack animations are all so fucking slow that it takes 3 to 5 business days to land while the boss is using premium shipping to hit you into next week! Fuck! I grinded some levels and eventually won the fight, but it was the least satisfying final boss I have fought in ages. I was this close to quitting the game, making this video and saying, I didn't beat him because fuck that, but I went through it anyway. It only lands above the fights below it because I at least appreciate they tried to make mechanics like the laser phase. It still sucks, but I'm trying to be nice. At number 5, we have the Infiltrator, a spider-like boss fought in the depths of the Rogar Temple. For the 4th boss in the game, I was pleasantly surprised by the Infiltrator's design and moveset. He has ranged attacks to put pressure on you from afar, has a close-range melee combo that can catch you off guard your first time, though sadly the boss does suffer from the last hit of that combo being a very punishable forward slam attack. Still, this was a punish window that felt intentional by the developers. You want to hug the boss tightly and strafe around its attacks. But midway through the fight, the Infiltrator gains 2 new attacks that throw this into whack. The first is a long-ranged projectile throw that goops some of the ground, but the attack we need to be wary of is a tail stab, which goes between the boss's legs, targeting the front. It's basically designed to hit players who are hugging the boss to avoid the melee combos, and poisons you to boot. Still very easy to handle overall, but this was one of the few fights in the early game where I felt, oh, this is an appropriate challenge and the moveset is honestly fair. No complaints here. But the Infiltrator was also a tad bland, and that's why it's at number 5. At number 4, we have the first Warden, which, you guessed it, is the first boss of the game. A large armored knight wielding a sword and shield, he has 4 notches to his health bar that denote 4 differing phases to his fight. His attacks are slow and mostly weak to circle strafing, as long as you have your shield up so you don't get caught on those backswings, but it does mean you do get openings to attack. That's better than most bosses in this game. For each part of the health bar you destroy, the boss will shed some of its armor. This makes the boss a tad bit faster and enhances some of his moves, but it also shows you a real sense of progression throughout the fight. This all culminates in the final part of the battle where the boss loses his shield and faces you sword only, which means easy to attack, but also he gains this spin to win move that he'll keep spamming until he hits you and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The first Warden also becomes a regular enemy later into the game, and those regular variants also have this spin to win move, with one of them comboing me up to 16 times. This game is broken, but hey, it was a good first boss, I'll give you that. At number 3, we have the Lost Brothers, who ambush you when you return to the Citadel. This is the game's gank fight, with one brother coated in fire, the other coated in electricity. And let me tell you, one of these guys is much easier to fight than the other. The Lightning Brother is a cakewalk. His attacks barely hurt if you shield through them, his AoEs are extremely tame and barely affect the arena, he has a single projectile that you can sidestep with ease. It's great fun. The Fire Brother, on the other hand, is a nasty piece of work. All of his attacks involve flamethrowers and fire everywhere, and if you're caught on fire, it's a status effect that lasts a short while and does a lot of damage. Whether it's left to right flamethrower attack or the coat the floor in flames attack, I had to keep my distance, otherwise this brother would decimate my health bar. Quake did a lot of work here. One brother will stay on the roof while the other fights you, and when they both hop up to the roof, that's your signal to get the fuck out, as an AoE is soon to follow. And once you kill one brother, the other will power up, so you want to lower both their health bars as much as possible before you go in for the kill. I like that they tried to do something different here, but the fight is very lopsided and not that enjoyable in all honesty. And this is the 3rd best fight in the game! At number 2, we have the Guardian, fought in the main courtyard of the Rogar Temple. This boss appears on your second visit, and if you save the humans earlier in the game, you can send them in to fight this boss, permanently lowering his health slightly. This is meant to be a hard fight that you ignore initially, then circle back around to fighting later on, as you need to get through the doorway behind the Guardian to reach the second half of the Chamber of Lies. The boss can summon fireballs from the sconces to attack you. He has a dash attack followed by a melee combo, a 2-hit swing for when you're close up, and a kick that follows into a larger combo. A very small moveset, but very aggressive to deal with. Yes, I used the Quake strategy because I simply could not find any punish windows. You don't have time with slower weapons to put your shield back up to block attacks, it's very frustrating. But I really liked this boss's introduction, I think the arena is the perfect size for the battle, and I enjoyed finishing him off. See? I said the word enjoy. I can say it in regards to this game. At number 1, we have Annihilator, fought at the end of the Chamber of Lies. This boss is electricity incarnate, like a budget Thor who wields a large hammer that is imbued with thunder. From afar, or when you first enter the arena, he'll throw his weapon to try and hit you. This leaves him vulnerable for a short while, which is perfect for dealing damage. He has multiple melee combos, but you want to wait for the forward slam, into back away swing, into forward slam combo. This is a constant throughout the fight and is completely punishable. Does this make the encounter very easy overall? Yes it does, but the boss does gain a projectile attack midway through the fight that can put a spanner in the works. It'll begin charging the attack and you need to run away to avoid the initial AoE flashbang as that will stun your character, then start running left or right to avoid the electricity beam being fired after you. Do this, keep close to the boss to have them use the punishable combo, and you'll end up victorious. This fight had the least friction for me of all the battles in Lords of the Fallen 2014, but what really won me over was that the moveset felt complete. The only thing I'd add is maybe having an extra AoE for the punishable combo in the last third of the fight, so when the hammer slams down, maybe it does extra damage, so you have to roll and then attack to punish. Just a little extra spice. Can I go now? I want to play something good. And that's my list. Have you ever played Lords of the Fallen 2014? Don't. Just don't. But what you should do is parry that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my future videos. I want to give a massive shout out to my YouTube channel members for supporting me for another month. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. You get a shout out in the description, at the end of videos, and you get access to some special Let's Plays as well. If you guys want to follow me, I have a Twitch, I have a Blue Sky, and I stream every week here on YouTube. I might be streaming right now. Come say hi. So, I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Adios.